everyone, this is Floxcat, and welcome to another interesting video, and pretty much just to let you guys know, and you probably already know this since I already said this, but just to let you guys know, this is probably going to be the last video before I stop rapid firing these videos out. But today we got a Pokemon interesting video. Today we have new theories to blame New theory blames fans for social quantity. To my personally honest, I kind of believe this, and this is from Site Spectre, which I keep talking about, but I keep accidentally calling him Site Sicko or whatever. So let's just do this thing. Let's go. Go. Why do ads hunt my life? Probably because I don't pay for this, but whatever. Let's do this a bit.
That infamous moment when it was announced at E3 2019 that the National Dex wouldn't be in Pokemon Sword
And
Shield,
Satan came or whatever.
Gameplay footage turned out to be quite underwhelming. Many fans, myself included, have tried to advance theories as to what exactly went wrong in the development process of these games.
I don't know.
Mobile games becoming a heavier focus of the Pokemon Company to Game Freak's priority moving to side games that it was developing simultaneously.
Look back that theory.
Deadlines to match the generational progression of all other aspects of the Pokemon Company, such as the anime and merchandise. It seems that the reason for this lack of quality is certainly multifaceted.
Sorry, I have to get comfy.
That's quite different from all the rest, and that's because unlike looking at the actions of the Pokemon Company or its constituent companies such as Game Freak, it instead attributes blame to the fans themselves. Now, in my opinion, this theory isn't entirely off base, but the way that it's construed and the conclusion that is drawn from it definitely is. I found this to be a really interesting one to dissect, so without any further ado, let's get into it and see what these people have to say. The crux of this theory has to do with the fans' reception to past Pokemon game releases, both in terms of sales and popular opinion. It operates on the assumption that fan reception to one game can determine how subsequent Pokemon games are approached from the developer's perspective, which I don't think is an unreasonable claim in itself. In particular, this theory looks at the fans' reception to the Generation 5 games, Black and White, and their sequels, Black 2 and White 2. Now, there is a second premise that one has to accept in order to continue to understand this theory, and that is that there was a general decline in the main series game's quality since the start of Generation 6 with X and Y. Now, having been so involved in Pokemon and the community since 1998, having had thousands of interactions with fans, hosted polls that have received tens of thousands of votes, and received tens of thousands of comments on similar topics, I can tell you from my experience that this does indeed seem to be the popular opinion.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love Pokemon Y, and I can understand that many people say it sucks because I played it, so I don't know. It's not really, but yeah, I don't know why people hate it that much, other than it probably Child Leaks or something.
Games like X and Y, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Let's Go, and Sword and Shield just don't seem to hold up comparatively. And despite the fact that not everyone will agree, I think there's quite a broad consensus that this is indeed the case. From this, you can perhaps see where this theory is leading us. According to this theory, the fan reception to Generation 5's games caused a decline in quality of the Pokemon main series. But how could this be the case? Well, when Black and White first released, there was actually significant backlash. The games were intended to be a sort of reboot for the series, but generally they were perceived to be too much of a change, especially with the 156 Gen 5 Pokemon being the only Pokemon available in the Unova region until you beat the game, and are only then able to transfer other Pokemon in. Not to mention the fact that there was significant uproar regarding many of the design choices for the Pokemon themselves.
Okay, just to say this, and I already said this before, but you guys know my favorite Pokemon is Chandelure. How the fuck does Pokemon design count? I actually love Gen 5's designs, and Gen 6, and also Gen 8's. Gen 7, but still, Gen 5 wasn't that bad. I actually played in Pokemon Black and it was awesome.
Games, which, in fact, they were actually full-fledged sequels with numerous new areas, new characters and new gym leaders, a fantastic story, more Pokemon available, new post-game activities such as the Pokemon World Tournament, challenge mode to make the game harder, etc. I'll be the first to admit that back in the Gen 5 era, I was one of those fans who didn't appreciate these games fully for what they were, and it was only upon replaying them later that I realized just how amazing they are and the sheer effort that that was put into them. And it definitely appears that I'm not the only one with this changed mindset. I hosted a poll last year asking what people thought was the best Pokemon game of all time. And out of a quite large sample size of nearly 40,000 randomly selected voters, insofar as they were not selected from any game-centric source, Black 2 and White 2 were voted as the second best main series Pokemon games of all time after Heart Gold and Soul Silver, despite the immense backlash that Gen 5 initially faced. Not only was this backlash very intense, but the Gen 5 sales weren't great either. Out of every single new generation pair of games, Black and White are the worst selling ones of all time.
Damn.
The very worst. Black 2 and White
Literal
2, despite
damn.
having two versions, only sold 25% better than the worst selling main series Pokemon game of all time, Pokemon Crystal, and was outsold by Yellow and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, barely upgraded versions of their predecessors, and was vastly outsold by every single remake ever released. So this is what the theory advances, that Pokemon fans don't appreciate when Game Freak actually invests a huge amount of effort into the games, and that this is reflected both in the popular opinion of the games and in their sales numbers.
Funny enough, probably true.
That sales numbers definitely don't reflect the quality
And I
of
know
the games. Ultra Sun
why.
and Ultra Moon beating Black 2 and White 2 is absurd in my opinion, and Let's Go, a shallow remake of Kanto with only 2 new Pokemon, only 153 total available Pokemon, and basically the same map and story. As of a year ago, it had beaten Crystal, Emerald, Platinum, Black 2 and White 2, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and is likely to have beaten even more since, including Fire Red and Leaf Green, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and perhaps even more. Furthermore, despite having the biggest controversy and criticism in Pokemon history, Sword and Shield sold over 16 million copies in its first 6 weeks, making it the fastest-selling Nintendo Switch game of all time.
Really?
Dang.
Dang.
I will accept. In general, the Pokemon fanbase does not seem to purchase the games based on their quality or the amount of effort put into them. However, I think this theory takes it one step too far when they blame the fans for the quality of the recent games based on this trend. The key point that these theorists need to recognize is that fans purchasing a game does not mean that they're endorsing that game. After all, it is only after purchasing and playing through the game in its entirety that one can get a full sense of its quality, despite some limited knowledge of what the game might include and exclude from announcements and trailers and
What
whatnot.
the fuck?
A good
No!
example
Fuck,
of this would
what?
be knowing that over half the Pokemon are missing, seeing numerous graphical problems and glitches in trailers and pre-release gameplay, etc.
True,
After all,
but
it is possible, however improbable, that the rest of the game could be so amazing as to make up for the bad things that one sees before playing the games themselves. So, they might go ahead and buy it, and in fact, fans were kind of led into thinking this with Sword and Shield, since excuses of working on the rest of the game were used as to why these negative things were there in the first place. Sales should not be used by an already massive gaming franchise like Pokemon as a metric for the quality of their games, or even how much fans like them. Oftentimes, they're just a reflection of how popular a given Nintendo console is, the fact that certain games are merely upgraded versions or sequels, successful marketing, etc. With the size of the franchise, too, it's inevitable that every single main series game will sell well relative to any other franchise. Even the worst-selling Pokemon game sold 6.4 million copies.
True.
The main point here is that a game selling well should not be a positive reinforcement to continue making lower-quality games, as is especially the case with Sword and Shield on the hugely popular
oh my
Switch
god,
console.
what the fuck?
Having not played the game, fans are
No.
instead relying on the Pokemon brand itself to deliver high-quality and thoroughly developed games as it had once done in the past, and are hoping that their past experiences with the games will match those of the present, or will even be exceeded. Even if we were to take this theory at face value, it would not mean that the fans have caused the games to be low quality, since the fans are
Right now?
of course, not the ones making the games, after all. Instead, it would mean that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are aware that Pokemon games will sell regardless of quality, and are therefore taking shortcuts and not putting in their full effort as they used to,
That is...
or are at least not dedicating enough
No, hang on, that's
or resources
bullshit.
towards the game's development. A Pokemon game is
That
so
part's
much more
bullshit.
than the number of units sold. It's the lasting
I'm calling
impact
bullshit.
it has on the lives of fans,
The ultimate
emotional
power
experience
of
they have while
bullshit.
playing it, the fun that they have, and the duration of that fun, and the memories it creates. A rushed game limits the experience severely, and despite maybe selling well, the negative impact is felt by the collective, as shown by user review scores and general reception to Sword and Shield,
Oh,
for
really?
instance, despite selling incredibly well. Yes, the 5th generation does present a rare instance of immense effort being put into a series of games, and those games not being immediately appreciated by fans as much as they should have been. I could maybe see this leading to a lack of motivation, at least temporarily, but this does not excuse what has been happening over the past 7 years years and at least 4 game releases that are demonstrably lower quality. Even if this were the case, what sense does it make to repeat what fans initially disliked about Gen 5? The initial limitations on the Pokédex that fix themselves entirely once the player beats the games, and make it way worse than Sword and Shield with no access to half of all Pokemon as was initially intended. This theory just does not seem to fly, and blaming the fans themselves is one step way too far. A lot of the premises hold true, but the conclusion that is drawn is a classic.
No, he's not. That's the problem.
Although it is
Like,
admittedly a much different scenario.
like I understand what he's saying, but he's not understanding what the theory was about.
Model of a car, it not selling amazingly well, and people not fully appreciating it. So the manufacturer cuts features and makes lower quality cars for all future models for the foreseeable future. Even in the rare cases where customers don't know what features are missing, people who purchase those models will have a less enjoyable time with their car than they would have if the good quality had been maintained. Similarly, in the gaming world, giving the fans less content and lesser quality content is something that they know no fans of any game developer would want, and doing just that is a reflection of that developer's culpability in the situation, not of the fans themselves. Well, thank you all for watching this video.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on this, and let me explain some things. Okay, so I'm not saying the video is bad, and I hope no one kicks my butt for this, because obviously, usually when it comes to these reactions, a lot of people got complaints, I don't know. Okay, here's my problem. What he didn't review, because I believe this theory, and yes, he has some good points, but I believe in this theory because when Pokemon Sun and Moon came out, which was probably, even though it's not my favorite generation, definitely one of the better Pokemon game. Hold on. But anyways, when it came to the Pokemon, sorry, I had to check something. But when it came to that, it was actually pretty well good. And now, so what I'm saying is, if you guys haven't watched Game Explain or whatever, and I learned this from this, but apparently a bunch of people complained that despite it being good, a lot of people complained that it was too long, the cutscenes were way too long, and all that. The story was way too long, so Nintendo decided to cut it out. It cut off all the thing. So, yes, this theory is true because it's called feedback. And I've seen this happen before. It's a real thing. And yes, I would blame the hardcore crazy fans who are so crazy to like keep asking and be careful what they wish for thing. Now I will agree that it sounds stupid, which what he was trying to say, because that is true. Like if you were to buy a new car and you complain about the crap stuff that wasn't even crap, and then the model like, okay, let's remove all that crap and da-da-da, yes, it would not make sense. But unfortunately, there are companies who follow that sense. I don't know. But I do believe in the theory of that. He obviously not. It's anyone's opinion. That's a fact. No matter what it is, it's everyone's opinion. I'm not going to destroy his side because I'm not going to try to. But to my opinion, I mean, there is fact that proves it. And that's why. Because of what happened. And it wasn't, I don't think it started in black and white, but it probably did. And I could see that because it's not just Pokemon. It happens to other games as well. But, yeah, that's the video. And I liked it, but, I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So that was, whatever, new theory, blame fans. By the way, it wasn't really a new theory. But anyways, that video. And if you guys like him, go to his channel and subscribe to him. Like button, whatever he wants. For me, I don't care. It's your guys' choices. I don't mind. Whatever. And, well, I'm snapping out of here. And one last thing before I do that. Again, I won't be rapid firing like I did the last 2 months. But, yeah, it won't be long because since my mom's back and all that, but yeah, but it's fine. I mean, in fact, I'm probably going to need a break since all the chaos of this. But yeah, and also make sure to tune in for the 14th next Friday because I have something special that's going to happen. Hopefully it goes down. We'll see. And do keep an eye out for Valentine. You know who she is. Peace. I'm snapping out of here. Bye.